I truly believe that taking care of yourself as if you are your own parent is one of the best ways to take care of yourself. Is one of the ways that you can combine all the self-confidence, self-love, motivational talk. Just act as if you are the parent to your inner child with every single situation. I was walking with a friend of mine and we were talking and she was very frustrated, and all of a sudden she goes like, you know, Liz, in moments like this where I'm frustrated, I get this urge to just hit myself. And she was kind of joking about it. And I looked at her and I said, would you hit your child if you were frustrated? And then she goes like, no, are you crazy? I would never do such thing. That's crazy, blah, blah. And I said, so why would you do that to your inner child? Because if you're doing that to yourself, you're doing that to your inner child and you're neglecting yourself. You're being a bad parent to yourself. And then she was like, wow, I never really looked at anything that way. And I said, you should start doing that, because in that way you can show up for yourself in the best way possible. In this video, I will explain to you how you can do the same exact thing and in what kind of situations this can really save you. Hi guys, my name is Liz and welcome back to my channel. Let's get into it. First things first thing is creating a routine for yourself. What do all children have in common? They have routines. A child wakes up, goes to school, comes home, has homework, nighttime routine. And it's very disciplined because most parents will not allow their children to just do whatever they want during the day. Now, when we step into adolescence, we don't have a routine anymore unless we create it for ourselves, and we as humans are naturally not comfortable with that much freedom. Our brain naturally craves familiarity because it releases positive emotions when it feels a sense of safety and comfort, and routines give you that safety and comfort because you can feel in control of something during the day. Now, if I wake up today and I don't know what I'm gonna do, or I don't have any routine at all, not a skincare routine or nighttime even routine, something so simple, I will literally go crazy because what am I doing all day? Now, if you're thinking about being a parent to yourself, then you would think, okay, if I had a child, that child would have a routine and that child would have to follow the routine in order for that child to achieve whatever they want and to develop in the best way they can. So apply that to yourself. What does my morning routine look like? What are my goals for today? What are my goals for the week? And then start doing these things. When you do something consistently in a routine based, it will form into a habit, so your body will do it without you even thinking about it. The same way you guys probably have a routine of going onto your phone in the morning, just looking at your phone and scrolling all day. That is routine for you now, but you can change that routine into something else, into, for example, you wake up, you meditate for 30 minutes. If you just do it consistently, your mind will adapt to the fact that you're a person who meditates in the morning now. So every successful person that I know, and myself included, we all have routines, because if you're striving towards goals, routines can really structurize your day and it takes away a lot of these excess thoughts and whatever. Like, I even eat the same foods because I don't want to think about food and all these things. That needs to go out of the way so I can focus on my work and on my goals and whatever I want to create. Next thing is caring about your inner and outer appearance. See, if you had a child, you wouldn't let your child willingly go outside with dirty clothes, smelly, not showered, not brushing teeth. You wouldn't do that, because then you're a neglectful parent. If you're thinking like that to yourself, why are you letting yourself walk out like that? Why? You know? It's all about, you need to look like you care about yourself and like you respect yourself. That means that caring about the way you look and making sure that you present yourself in a way that other people will in turn also respect you. Because I know that everyone wants to talk about, oh, we should only care about personality, this and that. Yeah, but when someone first looks at you, your first impression, we don't see the personality, we see what you look like. You know, looking put together is a form of self-respect. Caring about what you put in your body is a form of self-respect. You would care about what your child eats. You would care about how your child looks. You would care about these things. Now, care like that for yourself too. Also, like, if you look good and you think that you look good and you like the things that you're wearing, then that will lead to inner self-confidence, because you will just feel better about yourself. I know if I would send my child to school and they're wearing clothes that they love and they look nice, they will feel better about themselves. Also goes to having a clean space. So if you had a child, you would, for example, I would care if the room is clean, if like their environment is clean. Your environment holds energy. When there's too much clutter, when there's too much mess around, that is stuck energy in those items, and that is not good for you. You will feel like, I don't want to go home anymore. I feel like my space is not nice. Like, your home is supposed to feel safe. Also, dirty spaces are just less attractive to work in. If you need to focus and there's clutter all everywhere, your mind will be cluttered. So make sure that your space or whatever you're working in is clean, because you would do that for your child if you care about your child. I think it's neglectful to let children just grow up in dirty spaces and not care about their environment. Another thing is going outside. Now, this is actually something that I realized about myself. So when I was growing up, I wasn't really allowed to have friends or go out with friends or whatever. So I was a very isolated child. And whenever I wanted to go out with friends, I had to lie. It was for a school project, because otherwise I was just not allowed. Now, when I grew up and I stepped into adolescence, I still carried on this behavior into my adulthood. And oftentimes I just isolate myself and I will stay home often, or I will go to places to eat and then just come home. But I don't really engage with a lot of people, and especially because my work is online, I don't have to engage with a lot of people. This is not healthy for my inner child, and I am being a bad parent for myself if I'm acting this way. Why? Because my inner child never got to experience going out when it was younger. Now, when I do have the freedom to go wherever I want, whenever I want, I still don't do it. So I'm still kind of abusing myself and I'm restricting myself. If I had a child right now, and if I'm being a parent to my child, I would not stay home with my child all day, because that is neglectful. I would go to the park, I would go to nice places, because I would want my child to experience these things. So think like that to yourself. And staying home for too long can lead to being isolated, depressed, and having more anxiety. It also diminishes your social skills because you're not around a lot of people. Also, spending time in nature has been linked to increased creativity and concentration. Another thing is comparing yourself. I think any good parent would try not to compare their child, because this can diminish their confidence in themselves. This helps no one. This creates unnecessary competitiveness, and this puts the other person on a pedestal when they should never be on that pedestal. You should just think like, oh wow, I'm happy they're doing great, I'm doing great as well, or I can be as good if not better. Comparison limits the child, so don't do that to yourself if you're being a parent to yourself. See, I was compared when I was younger to my siblings, and especially around the way that I look, because I'm the only child in my family without light eyes. Like, I have brown eyes, and all of my other siblings have either blue or green eyes, and my mom has like very blue eyes. And I remember when I was younger, she would always say like, oh, you know, your sister looks like me because of her light eyes, and like, you don't have that, you look like your dad. And I always just felt, because of that, like the ugly child. And I would literally wish that I just had blue eyes, just so like I could be accepted by my mom, or like she could love me more. This is really sad, because now if I look at my younger pictures of myself and I see my childlike self, I'm thinking to myself, I was so beautiful, like such a beautiful child. But I could never see that, because just the fact that I didn't have, let's say, blue eyes, I was never really looked at as an attractive child within the family. Now, this obviously later on, I never thought that I was really beautiful growing up ever. I never thought about it at all. Only when I started to go into my teenage years more, people started finding me attractive. And I found that so weird. I couldn't even believe that. I honestly never ever believed that. When I'm raising my child, I would not want my child to feel ever that way. I want my child to recognize that they're beautiful and smart and loved. So don't do that to yourself. Don't compare yourself to other people, because it just limits you. Another thing is having good relationships and friendships. Would you let your child be with the person that you're with? Would you let your child be friends with them, dating them, whatever? Would you? If that's a no, then please reconsider the relationships you have in life. Relationships are so important for our personal growth and for our social skills to understand other people better. Now, there is just a point where relationships become self-abusive. And if you think that, oh my God, if my child came home with this type of person that I am with right now, I would literally freak out. You're not with the right person. If you think that I would never allow my child to be friends with this person because they're so bad to them or so toxic, you're not friends with the right person. you need to cut these people out, because there should be a line of abusing yourself. I get it, like we all go through things and we all have to experience these things, but when is enough enough? Like, what is your limit? How far does it have to get until you realize this is way too toxic? You know, I think oftentimes you don't need to realize things too late. You can realize things in the moment and be like, oh wow, this shouldn't go any further than this, because if this goes any further, maybe I will lose a part of myself. Is this person worth losing yourself over? Ask yourself this. If you are whole by yourself, why give away pieces of yourself that maybe you won't easily get back anymore energetically? You go to standing up for yourself. How would you stand up for your child? Stand up for yourself in the same exact way. Remember that story that I said in my last video about the hairdresser talking about my hair and saying she would be so unhappy if she was me? If my child was sitting in that chair and my child already feels bad about their hair, I'm paying this lady for a service, and she said that to my child, I would tell her, shut up, don't talk to my child that way, and I would leave the salon. I would stand up for my child immediately. Now in that moment, I should have done exactly the same thing for myself. You see, if you are getting bullied, if someone is being rude to you at work, how would you react if someone was doing that to your child? How would you react? Because if my child was being bullied in school, best believe that the principal, all these people would not have the best day of their life when I come to school. I would stand up for them in that way. So stand up in that way for yourself. When you stand up for yourself, you show people that they cannot take advantage of you. You show them where your boundaries are. Because oftentimes in life, people will try to test you and test your limits. Now, if you let them go too far, for them, you're already limitless and they don't respect you. But if you have other people that whenever you say something to them and they immediately clock you for it and they're like, don't speak to me like that, don't say that, or why would you say something like that? And you put them in an uncomfortable position, now they will think twice to do that again. They won't. But imagine you're already in a position now where you have let things slide too much and you think like, oh my God, how do I establish boundaries now? You still can do that. You can literally start from today and be like, this is the last time you will talk to me like that. And whenever they do talk to you like that, you put in the action. See, this is the issue. Most of us, we just talk. We just say things, I'm gonna do this, and you threaten, but you never actually do anything. Put in the action, not the words anymore. So whenever someone says there's something disrespectful for you, okay, I'm gone, bye, and you leave. Unless there's full remorse, you do not go there again. Because these people have not respected you in the past, they will not respect you again. You show people how they treat you. They treat you exactly how you show them that they're allowed to treat you. Another thing is positive self-talk. Positive self-talk can boost your self-confidence, and it can signal to your brain that you think that you're worthy of hearing nice and kind words. It also signals to your brain that you are worthy of receiving respect. So in this case, you will also be much more likely to receive respect from others and be okay with that. You see, if you were a parent to your child and to your inner child, you would speak kindly to your child, right? Like I would tell my child, it's smart, it's beautiful, it's the most amazing thing I've seen in the world. And I would really boost them up like that. Now you have to do the same thing for yourself as well. If you notice people that are not able to talk kindly to themselves, they're also not able to receive things from others. They're very awkward with nice words or compliments, or they try to avoid it as much as they can. Now this leads to a lack of self-confidence, because a confident person is able to receive compliments and say thank you so much. That's it. Now someone that is not that confident will dismiss them and say, oh no, I'm not that great, oh no, this is not. No, you don't want your child to be like that, right? When they get a compliment from, let's say, the teacher, and they say, no, teacher, I'm not that smart. No, I want my child to be like, thank you so much. Also, the positive self-talk will combat your negative self-talk, because our brain tends to be negative first. So what you have to do is reverse it. You can train your brain, hypnotize it actually, into believing something else. For example, I used to always say the affirmation, God wants me to win. God wants me to succeed. I swear I believe this 100%, and my life is literally like this now, like magical almost, because I genuinely believe that anything that happens in my life is for my greater good. I think that if it doesn't happen in the way that I want, God has a better plan for me. And if it happens, then I think, yay, God wants me to succeed. Like, God is rooting for me. That's truly what I believe. So because I wired my brain like that, I have situations that act like that. Now, when I was younger, I used to heavily believe that everything is evil eye, and oh my God, like I'm getting so much evil eye. I was giving myself the evil eye, okay? Because I was constantly creating more and more situations that signified that that was evil eye, because my brain was creating my environment. So instead, I started thinking, God is protecting me and God wants me to win. Now my life looks like that. You know, I saw one quote from Oscar Wilde, and it was, "To love oneself is the beginning of a lifelong romance." And it's so true. When you pour into yourself, God really rewards you. It's almost magical. I cannot describe it. I really noticed that the more I invest in myself, the more I do things to take care of myself, the better my life gets. And I noticed that when I start neglecting myself and not really take care anymore, and I don't really pour into myself as much, and I start pouring into other people more, my life starts to go downhill. So there is really something about giving yourself the energy that you need to then give it to others as well. But first, water yourself. And one last thing is, forgive yourself. Imagine you had a child right now and the child had made a mistake. Would you hold your child to that mistake for the rest of their lives and you'd be like, oh my God, remember when you did this? No, you wouldn't. If your child showed remorse and then they understand why it's wrong and they don't do it again, then you would want them to move on, right? Do the same thing for yourself. I one time had this DM from this woman. She was like 35 or something. She had children now, everything. She DM'd me and she said, Liz, yeah, you know, I love your videos, but it's so hard because I can't forgive myself because I used to be a high school bully. And I'm thinking to myself, like, you're 35 now, you already understand that what you did is wrong and you feel so bad about it still years later. It's okay for you to move on now. You don't have to hold yourself to the same person you were like 10 years ago. You literally changed. You know, one thing you can maybe do is, if you feel so bad about it, reach out to the people you bullied and be like, hey, I'm so sorry for doing that at the time, and apologize. But what else can you do? At some point, you move on from these things, and that's it. Also, one thing that I did recently is I put a picture of my younger self on the background of my phone. And anytime I'm pressuring myself or I'm being hard on myself, I just look at that picture and I look into my eyes and I start to feel so bad for myself. Like, truly. I think it's a really good way to hold yourself accountable and to look at yourself and remember that whatever you're doing to your inner child. So think about any situation like that so you can make better decisions. Anyways, guys, I hope this video helped some of you guys, and I love you guys so much. And yeah, I see you in the next video. Bye bye.